Hi racing fans, how are you? Not that I'm going to get an answer, but anyway, let's shoot ahead. Yeah, so I've been racing around the country a wee bit, particularly to the south of Christchurch. I ended up going to Dunedin and eventually to Invercargill. I had to forego my my fifth round and sixth round, yes, for the Chaz Al Hart Cup, which I was on 3.5 out of 4 with equal second place thus far then with the president of the chess club from the Canterbury Chess Club. The winner of the tournament was on 4 out of 4 and had won 6 out of 6. So well done to that player who got 6 out of 6, first place, and beat some big scalps to get there. So I went down to Dunedin and then eventually to Invercargill. So I had the great joy and delight to have my itinerary all sorted for me by being asked to coach a couple of lads at a cafe that they were playing in the secondary school pupil chess champs, teams chess championships for Otago, against other schools, of course, in the high school era, and the high school sort of circuit. So here, I then went from there, and I'd also played in the Winter Rapid for the Otago Chess Club, their Winter Rapid, which is quite fun and it's a social event, but still players like me get sort of serious about it. That I was on board one throughout the whole tournament, but I did air the last round and to end up with 4 out of 5. I'm not clear on who the winner's name is. I didn't even have his name written down on the score sheet properly by myself. He did that for me himself. And without going into detail, the final position was in fact a drawn position, but I just couldn't be bothered trying to, just to prove it. I just ran out of gas at round 5, even though I was an exchange up. So I was disappointed with myself. So I just sort of thought to myself, it's quite honest what I'm saying, but you can take it with a pinch or grain of salt. I just couldn't be bothered, and I just left him to have the glory, because he did get out from a lost position, being exchanged down for my knight on b8 to c6 to d4 to e2 to d2. My knight f6 to e4 to d2, picking up the exchange as his queen was on b3 and his rook was on f1, so knight d2. And this is what I'm actually doing here with this, is I'm going to just do an exercise for you, which is very, very good for your chess. And I don't want to be too long about the introduction, where I'm going to have just the kings on the board, and you're to go along with me. If my 8-year-old, 9-year-old junior can do this exercise, then I'm sure you can too. This will catapult, no matter where you are in chess, your chess ability, unless you're already very familiar with blindfold chess, like JS, former New Zealand chess champion, who plays 15 games simultaneously, blindfolded chess. And many displays. However, I played in Invercargill. Now, Invercargill, in my viewpoint now, and I've told their mayor, Sir Tim Shadbolt, I've told them that, and racing this time, and we've got the second part of the double here, and it's David Weegenaar's trying to get in front of everyone else, but no one else is letting him in the front, and it's Weegenaar trying to still get in the front of everybody, but there's no chance, and it's Weegenaar lost 0-1. So here we go. There were around about 100 juniors at this chess tournament in Invercargill. Amazing outpouring of enthusiasm for chess in the very pit of the New Zealand country. And I went down there to demonstrate a simultaneous chess display. The result was I had like 20 boards. They weren't all active, but at least sort of 16 were, and that was the result of one draw, and all the rest were losses. Of course, I lost the whole lot. No, I gave an honorary win to my opponent, who got got 4 out of 5 as well in the Winter Rapid. I gave him a win because he defended very nicely. I felt against my wing gambit in the Sicilian defence. So here we go. Now we start, and I hope this isn't too long, but if it is, that's okay. So we've got, first we're going to just go over what's called, I believe, the fork bear counter gambit in the King's Gambit. So if you might like to use a chessboard and you need to know the algebraic notation, is 1 e4 and 2, white's move is e4 and black's move is e5, f4 for white on move 2, and then we have d5, which is one of 3 main moves against the King's Gambit. There's the declined and there's the accepted. The declined is another move than d5, but so we have e4, e5, f4, d5. Normal move here is e4 takes d5, and then black plays e4 or even ef4. I prefer ef4, but e4 is the main line. And then Kerry's plays d3. Kerry's, and there's not much really for black after Kerry's move d3, if you know the continuations, of course. So we have e4, e5, f4, d5. Now I had that was just a word from my sponsor, but I'm doing the session. So e4, we'll start again. e4, e5, f4, d5. Now what happens if white now plays after d5 fe5? I asked my junior this morning, and so he was trying to come up with some moves, and sooner or later he came up with queen h4 check. And like I said, he's only been playing chess for a few months now, and he's quite interested in it, and he can see Bobby Fischer moves and the attacking moves and all that sort of thing, and there's other chess talent around the country as well. So he went queen h4 check, and so it's good to visualize this. Now black can only be met with 2 moves here. The 2 moves are, of course, just either g3 or king e2. So firstly we will analyze queen h4 check, g3. Then we have queen e4 check, which is of course checking the king and attacking the rook on h1 over here somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? My finger's meant to be pointing over here. Is h1 over here, and the queen is attacking the rook on h1 as well as at the same time or simultaneously attacking the king with check. So if g3, queen e4 check, king f2, then I asked him what could you play now, and I had to give him the wee hint to say it involves a developing move. So he came up with, and a strong move, he came up with, yes, you guessed it, bishop c5 check. Watch out, this boy is about. And also a very strong Indian girl is about too. So bishop c5 check, and then he said that looks like checkmate. Okay, and it would be unless if white wasn't able to play a move. So I then said to him, can white play a move. And sooner or later, I think it was not too bad, he came up with move d4, which obviously stops bishop c5 check. So then I said, well, what would you play if you're black? And he went, of course, what would you play? You could play queen h1, but probably better is another move. So what would he be best in playing? Is bishop takes pawn check on d4. Bishop takes d4 check. And then there's a lot of dilemma in white's camp. Bishop e3 is probably the only real move because it gives black the option of either taking the bishop on e3 with bishop e3 check or queen e3 check. Now, most players would probably play queen e3 check, although bishop e3 check is quite exciting too for white, because after bishop e3 check we then have king e2, which he saw, or king e1, which he saw, the only two moves for white. And then you have, of course, lift the knight on g1 if you so wish, with bishop takes knight on g1, bishop takes g1, and it's check again. So then the queen or the bishop on f1 can play to e2, because there's no other move. And then you can probably just take the rook on h1 with the queen if you so wish, or just swap off and move your bishop back, etc. to c5 or something like that. Notice that the queen can take the rook on h1 because there is a pawn still for white on e5. So there's no check or pins or anything like that for the queen on e2 and e4 and king on e8 battery. So white could be met with queen takes h1 or queen e2, bishop e2 or king e2, and bishop c5, extracting the bishop from g1 because the rook is attacking it, of course. So the next variation is e4 instead, not variation, but we'll start from the beginning again. e4, e5, f4, d5, the fork bear counter gambit, and then if fe5 again, which is all good for just the exercise, queen h4, king e2, then we have queen takes pawn on e4 check, and we can pick up that we can't pick it up because it's king e2, not g3, David. So queen e4 check, king after king e2, after queen h4 check, king e2, queen e4 check. Now this is similar to the other line, except it's a little bit different. Then we have king f2, which is the only move on the chessboard. There's no knight that can take the queen on e4 or anything like that. There's no bishop that can go in between the queen check and the king on e2 with bishop e3. So the king has to move, and then bishop c5 check has occurred in one of my games when I was a junior, but why not keep trying to get these sorts of positions? King f2, bishop c5, and now all of a sudden the king either has to move or we've got this d4 move again. Now if d4, it might be the best move because then we're actually opening up the dark squared bishop for white to come into defense where it is needed. So we'll play d4, and then we've got bishop d4 check and king g3 only move. We don't really want to take the bishop with the queen on d1 to d4. So we go king g3, and then we have what? Queen takes pawn on e5 check. Now here's what I was saying before. Here we can play bishop f4 for white, because the bishop's now available to interpolate the check on e5 by playing to bishop f4. And then what can you do? You can actually be a little bit smart, and you could play bishop f2, because if king takes bishop on f2, then you can just merely take the bishop on f4 with check, and then look at what's going on after this. So, but instead of king g3, queen e5, check, bishop f4, and then bishop f2, we have probably got better moves, even queen d4 for white, although maybe black can play queen d4, bishop c7, and that sort of thing. Now, if you want to work this out in your head, it's very, very good for your chess, and if you don't want to, that's also good too. So it's good for me as well doing this, and so I hope you enjoyed today's session, and I thank you for watching this chess channel, and I hope your chess gets better no matter what level you're at. So if you want to improve your chess, this is a very good method to do it. You can just do it just with getting a book like this, you know, like Mikhail Tal, or any book under the planet, or any magazine, or any game, and just go through the moves in your head as much as you can. And it doesn't matter, no one has to know about it, okay? Thank you very much.